Hi everybody, it's Mary Ellen Stites from Create With Me, and today I'm bringing you the second in the series on the Stamparatus. We're going to talk about hinge stamping today. So we'll cover a couple basics and then we'll talk about hinge stamping using the hinge in two different ways. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to put you down at my desk. Take my name off there. So some of the things that I didn't cover during the first one is when you go to stamp, I find that it's always nice to have an empty stamp case, the stamp case you're using, or just have an empty one, or even the stamp case that you use for your chamois just underneath the hinge, because that helps give you a nice flat surface instead of, if you don't have the case under there, then you're working at an angle. This is going down at an angle onto my table. So I like to have a case just to put under there for stability. So that's one thing that I didn't cover in the first one. So I talked about having paper under here, and I talked about the foam mat. Now, originally the foam mat is intended for when you're using a photopolymer stamp set. You know that there's no foam on these photopolymers. So having the foam here or the basic mat, this is the deluxe mat and here's the basic mat. It comes with the basic mat. Having that gives you that cushion that you need. When you're using red rubber, like this stamp up here, it's already got the foam built in, but I have found that I pretty much leave my foam on all the time. I do not remove it. I have good luck with it. This has a little bit of cushion, but this is a fairly firm surface. So I do just leave my mat on there all the time, but you can move it, take it off if you don't want it. If you're finding you're having trouble, then you're using red rubber, go ahead and take it off. That's perfectly fine. So I talked a little bit about the small grid paper, and you can see here that I've made some marks on my paper for paper placement. I like to work away from the hinges. I feel like I get my best images when I'm away from the hinge and I'm not too snuggled up against the hinge. So that's why I make the marks on the paper just like this. And then that way, if I'm making multiple cards, I always know where to place it because of where I have my stamp. So then, of course, you're going to want to hold down your paper with the magnets. And I have mine covered with washi tape just as a reminder. So usually I take my stamp and I'll put it on the paper. And when I'm doing hinge stamping, I'm going to be making images right down the paper like this. I like to lay it onto my paper where I want it, and then I like to take my my plate and just fold it over and pick up that stamp so that I have it positioned exactly where I want it. Making sure that my paper stays in place, because sometimes it's a little sticky. The stamps can be a little sticky, but I've got my placement here, so I'm just going to leave it like it is. So let's go ahead and get started with some of these bright colors and make. I'm not going to make a card, but I'm going to show you the basics of doing hinge stamping. So I like to ink up my stamp. And I talked to you about the downfall of using the big classic ink pads, and that's this right here. I just stuck my finger in it, so I'm going to grab a paper. I'm going to grab my little chamois. Don't worry about that when you're stamping. If that bothers you, you can wipe that off. But I'm going to leave it on there because I want to show you that that is not going to bother anything. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp my birthday. When you're stamping with the Stamparatus, you're going to do the same thing as if you had that stamp on the block. You're just going to push down on your image. You're going to lift it up carefully. And I did not get any of that green on there. Now I did get a little bit on my washi tape. And that's just because of where I decided to place my magnet. Had I placed it down here, that wouldn't have been an issue. So I'm going to take my mini chamois that I've cut from a large one and clean that stamp off. I'm not going to move the stamp. I'm going to make sure that I'm leaving it, blotting it, leaving it right where it is. And then I'm going to take my next color, and I think I'll go with a light color. So I'm going to do Mango Melody. And I'm going to lift this hinge up. Remember, you have to be at a 90-degree angle, and then place it back down, and then I can stamp it. Sometimes I just use my palm. Now, I feel like that image is a little light. That's probably because I need to re-ink my pad, but I'm going to see if I can get it just a little bit darker. And because I have it on my stamp position tool or my Stamparatus, I can do this as many times as I want. I still don't love the Y. I think the Y could be a little bit darker. I can stamp it one more time, paying more closer attention to that Y on birthday. And there, I'm very happy with that. Go ahead and clean it, blotting off my stamp. And then I'm going to go to my next color. I'm going to use Magenta Madness. Lift up my hinge, move it down one place, stamp it, and see what's happening. I'm getting my birthday images exactly in a row. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about, is it going in the same place? Do I have a nice crisp image? It's exactly where I want it to go. Again, clean it up. See, I'm being a little more careful. I'm not getting all that ink on there as I was before. Let's go to some purple, Gorgeous Grape. By having the stamp case under here, it's also helping to keep things a little more level. Lift it up, move it down one hinge, press down, lift up. Now you're probably not going to have to re-stamp it as many times as me, and that's because my ink pads probably could use a little bit of re-inking. Clean that off, and let's do it one more time with some Pacific Point. Lift it up, move that hinge down, place that stamp. Okay, we'll go back into position. I'm going to clean this up so that I know it's clean and ready to go the next time. Okay, so now all I have to do is add a little designer series paper, a ribbon, add that to my card base, and there I've got perfect placement. Everything's perfectly straight. I'm saying happy birthday as many times as I want to because I want to really give you some joy. So that's one way to do hinge stamping. And then I'm going to show you another way using the top hinge. And I'm just going to turn my paper over, and I have got my little registration marks. I've put them in here already. Let me move some of this out of the way and get another piece of paper and bring that in. Okay, I know that my image is going to be down here, so I can go ahead and put my magnet here. If I want a magnet here just to hold this grid paper, I can, or just that it's in place. And I'm going to use red rubber now, and I want to show you using red rubber. I'm still using the foam mat, and I'm going to use this Mango Melody. I'm going to ink, I'm going to stamp, I'm going to lift, I'm going to ink, I'm going to move my hinge once, press down, stamp, ink it up, move my hinge, stamp. I'm overlapping, I'm creating a meadow right now here on my card. I like to ink and then move. I like to always keep it consistent so that I'm not moving, then inking and forgetting, did I ink, did I move? And so I ink, and then I move, and then I stamp. So that's as quick as it is to make a background when you're using all one color. You have this nice little meadow, and then let me show you, I've made it into a card, and here's a card using the background. I punched a little dragonfly, added a little bit of a one of the little ladybug charms and a greeting and some twine, and there's a hinge stamp using the this is actually the stamp set called, let me pull it out, Dragonfly Garden. So there's a cute little card using the hinge stamping. So that is the basics of hinge stamping and how to use them. Um, Join me next time for some more information on using the Stamparatus. Until then, I'm going to put up the uh, item number Stamparatus, and there's my store, createwithme.stampinup.net. If you're interested in the Stamparatus, you can purchase it at my store online. And if you're interested, I would recommend probably picking up a chamois too. So I will talk to you later. Bye.